I think I'm going to have to put this into 3 parts now. But yeah, this was what initially spurred me on to make said video, to begin with. But so yeah, gender equality in education and learning, the children's parliaments. So a theory of change model. Oh god. So same principle applies to this time around. It's, you know, promote feminist shit to children and just watch them work their magic after the fact. So it says down here, when I started thinking about this stuff, I realized how much it was affecting me, and it was affecting how much it was affecting me, and how serious. Let me fucking zoom out. Sorry. Affecting me, and how serious a problem this is. We have learned it's just how it is, but it isn't acceptable. Oh, who taught you that? Like, I wonder. Could it be just a conspiracy theory, man? So, get this, okay? So the education and the equality in education team, sorry, part of the Scottish Government's teaching, education, leadership and reform units have set up a gender equality task force to address gender inequality in education. As part of this work, the Children's Parliament and Scottish Youth Parliament were commissioned to capture the views, and get this, right? We're talking about gender equality here, right? Of course we are. It's nothing to do with feminism. No, it's not. It says, fuck off. To capture the views and the ideas of girls and young women. Oh, here we go. We're off to a great start. But just before I even go any further, though, the fact that it says that there's a quality in education team, part of the Scottish Government's teaching, education, leadership and reform unit. So they've gone and they've been established. Then they've gone on to set up a gender equality task force, which is the group, by the way, that I'm pretty sure are responsible to some degree for the new and improved gender-friendly child care environments. So when you're putting your child to free childcare courtesy of the S&P, your child's being raised in a feminist environment. But anyway, so they come along, and their main goal is to address gender inequality in education, and thus by extension they approach Children's Parliament and the Scottish Youth Parliament, commission them to capture the views on girls and women. I'm sure on young women. I'm sure they've got riveting views. I'm sure their opinions need to be valued. You know, you're acting in bad faith though, as they always do, because immediately we're coming from the position where there's a requirement for this shit in the first place to justify why you're doing it, or you wouldn't be doing it at all. Therefore, what has to be said in order for policies to be written off the back of it, what has to be said is things that reaffirm the feminist narrative. In order to get that to be the case, you introduce feminism to children first. Problem, reaction, solution. Again. So the views and ideas of young women and girls on how we can ensure that the Scottish education system is truly gender equal and that all girls and young women are happy, healthy and safe in school. The views of girls consulted by the Parliament were also shared with boys so that they could then share their views as allies in the drive for a gender equal experience of school. Now, of course, gender inequality that they claim is so prevalent across society is non-existent. They're referring to equity, masqueraded as equality. They point to disparities. They point to the differences, the biological differences between men and women, boys and girls. They choose different subjects, play different things, do different things, act differently by and large. No, not according to the feminists. No, that's society that's done that. You know, society shapes these people. That's why we need to infiltrate them as young as possible and fuck with their heads and promote our feminism. You know? There's no way they don't know that the things that they're insinuating are incorrect. They just cannot not know that. The Parliament's role was to inform the production of a theory of change model being produced by the Gender Equality Task Force. Of course, you know, there's no show without punch. So it's not just the kids taking it upon themselves to do things. No, they're effectively coerced, guided in a specific manner. The model will identify strategies and pathways that can bring about systemic change within the education system, ending gender inequality that doesn't exist. But of course it exists now because they've been taught all about the new and improved definitions, of course. So it says here, this is their main goals. They summarise up here. The long-term goals of the Gender Equality Task Force are that girls and young women, so nothing about boys, by the way, nothing at all, are taught by gender competent educational professionals. This is no different to racial literacy. Gender competent is effectively the gender race, critical gender theory, if you will. You know, gender competent. Who's getting to decide who is competent and who is not competent? Same principle with racial literacy. Who decides? Who determines what's illiterate and what's literate? Well, critical race theory is the literal sense, and of course, if you don't believe in the mantra of critical race theory and all that it encompasses, you're illiterate. Same principle here. If you don't see the world through the feminist worldview, through the feminist lens, then you are not competent. You need to be re-educated. Do not experience sexism, sexual harassment, or gender-based violence in the classroom or other educational settings, and can freely choose subjects and areas of study, including those traditionally dominated by boys and men. Oh, you know, and that has to change, because that's a fucking issue, you know. And it's funny, because you'll never be able to properly do that unless they really do up the ante when it comes to interfering. You know. But left to their own devices, kids will gravitate to things that they've always done. You know? It's been fucking tried and tested. So anyway, how the kids don't learn about that though. The theory of change will map backwards from these long-term goals to find a route towards systemic change. The report on the work conducted by the Children's Parliament, our colleagues at Scottish Youth Parliament, will report separately in their work with young people. By reporting across these two submissions, we hope to ensure the distinct experiences of young people, etc. Right, okay. The role of the Children's Parliament, however, was to inform the production of a theory of change model being produced by the Gender Equality Task Force, identifying strategies and pathways that can bring about systemic change within the education system, ending gender inequality that doesn't exist. Therefore, this is redundant. Hey-oh, who am I to judge? So, fuck is this? When girls are in school, they are happy and safe and can take part in this subjects. I can't see the rest of that. What else have we got here? Time's getting ahead of me a bit, like, but can't fucking do it. Oh, whatever. Moving on. So it says the Children's Parliament engages with children in early years of middle childhood from birth to the age of 14. For the purposes of this work, we engage with 11 girls and 7 girls in primary school, additionally working with 6 boys to gather their views on the role of boys in achieving gender equality. Ah, of course. With the approach to engage children in small facilitated conversations with Children's Parliamentary staff, children were engaged in pairs while secondary age children worked in small spaces. We met with each group of children several times over the course of the project. And it says up here, I'm not going through all this because there's too many pages and I've been doing this for over an hour now. But a group was designed to structure the discussion of theory for change. Our aim was to use a model that closely followed the one used by the Gender Equality Task Force. Of course, you know. As long as you get to believe though that you came up with it, albeit it's copy and paste. Of course, almost as if this is just the Gender Task Force using children. Fucking shield, you know. And you get politicised children in the process. You know, if it's children that come up with the ideas that you have in the background, then you have a right to be listened to and taken seriously, of course. Yeah, of course, that's how it works. Red herrings. Young people can be mapped against those of adults. It is in the connection made with children and young people's contributions that duty-bearing adults will evidence their commitment to the rights of the child. Yeah. Work with children was conducted face-to-face, where possible, to allow them to feel more comfortable and confident. Anyway. So it says here. What have we got? Oh. What's the problem? When girls and young women get treated differently and unfairly because they are girls, young women, this is what they tell the time. It's remarkable to me that even girls in primary school and young women in high school have got the same exact mindset, or at the very bare minimum are saying the exact same shit that the likes of Nicola Sturgeon say. When something bad happens to me, it's because I'm a woman, or it's because I'm a girl. That's what they're taught. You know, but when something bad happens to a boy, he just assumes it's for whatever reason. He doesn't go, oh, well, it must be because I'm a boy. But this is what girls, they are taught to think that that is the case. They're treated differently or unfairly just because they're a girl. You know, and the best part about it is more often than not, they can't even define or provide examples of them actually being legitimately treated unfairly. Oh, when girls and women feel unsafe. You know, but it's a subjective thing. There might genuinely be no danger within the vicinity, but if you're taught from a very young age that we live in a male-dominated patriarchy with our stereotypes and everybody's a rampant rapist and they've got a penis, then I suppose maybe there's a room for some concern there. But who's really at fault there? So, let's see if there's anything else here. Oh shit! When girls and young women don't get to do the things they want to because of their gender, well, that just doesn't fucking happen. So, you know, just these things do not occur by and large nowadays. Anyway, who should be involved in the changes we want to make? Where do we start if we want to change things? What do we need to do to change things? How would we know we are making a difference for girls and young women? Oh, I'm sure Nicholas Sturgeon will fucking tell you all about it. Oh, and then it says, a gender equal and education system. This is what they want. When girls and young women are in school or learning, they are happy and safe and can take part in all topics and activities they want to do, which they already can do. But of course, in order for that to be suggested in the first place, they have to be taught to a certain extent that the things that they wish to see are not yet a reality. So currently in Scotland, girls cannot participate in sports that they might want to because they're girls. They're treated like shit because they're girls. They're held back because they're girls. They're forever in danger because they're girls. They're not happy because they're girls. You know, it's a really dark and depressing place for women in the 21st century. It really is. Pesky patriarchy. Oh, fuck it hell. About time we overthrew it, right? Anyway, there's just so much waffle here. So in the children's version of the theory of change model, the starting point, or the problem, is defined as the following. Girls get treated differently and unfairly because they're girls. Incorrect. Sometimes girls feel unsafe. Well, that's subjective. Why? Sometimes girls don't get to do the things they want to do. Like activities or subjects because they're girls. This is what they're taught. That doesn't mean it's true. Secondary version. Gender inequality in education and learning. When girls and young women get treated differently and unfairly because they are girls, it doesn't happen. When girls and young women feel unsafe. When girls and young women don't get to do the things they want to do because of their gender. Bullshit. Then, the end of the discussion, the long-term goal was defined as follows. If this is repeating what I read earlier on, I will flip my lid like. Where are we? What we want. When girls are in school, they're happy and safe. Yeah, it's just a repetitive shit again. The purpose of the discussions was not to gather evidence that the problem's happening. You know? Oh no, we don't need to waste time doing that because, you know, we've already educated them on that front. As multiple pieces of research have already been conducted to confirm that, they have, you know. Very selective in nature, though, eh? Instead, we were to work with children and young people to find a pathway to move from the issue to the solution, you know, but we're sticking within the parameters of our very self-selected evidence papers, of course. You know, courtesy of the Flight for Sustainability, etc. Where are we? To do this, we laid out 4-pronged questions to move us from the problem to the end point goal. Simplified from the adult theory of change model, these were, who should be involved in the changes we want to make? Well, I think that goes without saying. Children. Girls, in particular. Feministic girls, even better. And of course a couple of boys for allyship, yeah. Where do we start if we want to change things? What do we need to do to change things? Activities, ideas and actions. And I just want to emphasise here that these are children, you know, and they've got it into their heads that things need to change pretty damn fast, rapidly, accelerate. And the reason that they think this way is because on the one hand they're taught that gender inequality is a rife problem that needs rectified. But 2, they've got it into their heads that they can be the voice of reason. They're in a position now where they can provide the answers that nobody had thought of prior. And naturally, they're too young, naive to see they're being groomed. Again, the onus is on parents, really. What do we need to do to change things? How would we know we are making a difference for girls and young women? Well, naturally, in order for you to know that you're making a difference, the government's going to have to act. But the government needs you to come up with the solutions or the suggestions, the right suggestions. That's why they've designed the curriculum in such a manner that you inevitably will. Hence this publication in the first place. You know? Seems they did a good job of grooming you. Well, the purpose of our discussions was to build a theory of change with kids about gender equality in education. The scope of the conversations extended beyond the boundaries of the model. It became evident very quickly that girls and young women needed space to share their experiences. Girls share their experiences of sexism, gendered bullying, and in some cases gender-based violence. Yeah, gender-based violence that's not what it says in the tin, by the way. You would think because of the term violence that would mean, being hit or whatever. No. It can be literally anything. Microaggressions, wolf whistling, nasty names, being treated unfairly, alleged discrimination, etc. You name it, it's all there. Outdated stereotypes, misogyny, redefined, of course. Many girls reported that this was the first time they had been asked about these issues in any formal way, and there was a strong sense that they felt relieved to be able to relate their experiences. It's awful that we have to worry about all these things when we are only 12 and 13. I think that's a relatively startling statement, don't you think? That children of that age are of the belief that they have to worry about things that they wouldn't have to worry about had they not been taught that these are things to worry about in the first place. Wherever we go, guys stare us down and intimidate us, and no one does anything about that. Boys say a lot of things, just really inappropriate. Then he looks at me and smiles, and it makes me feel really weird, said a primary girl. Fucking hell. What was this here, sorry? 9-year-olds reported being intimidated by boys in and out of school, with one girl reporting that boys in her WhatsApp group at 9, why are you in a WhatsApp group at 9? Text her things like, I'm going to rape your mum, as a joke. Same 9-year-old also suggested we should ask Santa Claus to help with the solution. Santa could tell every boy and girl in the world not to be sexist and could make sure everyone had gender-neutral toys. The juxtaposition of sexual violence and a belief in Santa is shocking to unpick. Ugh, fucking hell. Because, albeit rape is a serious issue, the joke, albeit it's in bad taste, rape jokes is something that kids fucking do. But the feminists have to make a big deal out of it. Doesn't mean that they're potential rapists. There are many disclosures throughout our conversations demonstrating the pervasive nature of violence against women and girls, and everything that I've read out from this shit so far is all encompassed under the term violence against women and girls. Gender-based violence is the same principle, it's the same thing. These worries were not limited to the education setting. Experiences of sexism and gendered violence outside of school, can be seen to impact in school, with girls reporting lack of sleep and concentration and a broader fear of boys and men. It is clear that we cannot address gender inequality. Isn't it funny that the more and more progressive, quote unquote, we become as a society, and the more the feminists get their claws into the education system, etc., the more this is becoming an issue? We don't even live in what would be classified as the patriarchy anymore, by and large. It's a wet wipe nation. Feminism rules the roost, effectively. But yet, these issues seem to be becoming more and more apparent, more and more pervasive, if you will. Same way that the more BAMEs enter the country, the more racism seems to be an issue. It's funny that wherever they go, the issues arise. Same principle here. The more feminist influence, the more this shit seems to rear its ugly head. All of a sudden, girls are scared of boys. Wonder why? Because they're being taught shit. It's clear that we cannot address gender inequality in education without looking at wider societal issues. And of course, we need to change those mindsets. Yeah, we need to change the structures, the system. That's gender competency, folks. Adult facilitators have ensured participating children have received appropriate responses and form supports. Okay. So, anyway, coming down a bit further, adults need to change first. The first question posed in the theory of change approach helped us identify who the individuals or groups are who must be involved. Teachers and adults in school, the government, of course. Yeah, there was a consensus amongst all the children we worked with that teachers and adults were the natural starting point for who should be involved in the change. Every group identified teachers in their conversations. Girls believed that there was an urgent need for all school staff, just like the sustainability climate change shit. The same thing here. School staff need to be trained in gender equality for them to be effective and change. Now, bear in mind, just to sort of bring this full circle for a moment, the task force set up by the government, set up specifically to implement the feminist worldview in an educational setting, they were then put into a position where they got a bunch of kids together to come up with the same solutions that they inevitably would have come up with themselves. And lo and behold, one of the first things that they come away with, suggestion-wise, kids that is we need gender equality training. Same fucking thing with anti-racism training. It's race theory. The same thing that's applicable here. It's the feminist mantra. The new and improved variations where everything's sexist and misogynist. So we've also got the government. The government and politicians were also named by the majority of children. It was acknowledged that the decision makers would need to come on board for gender equality to be realised, and that is right up Sturgeon Street. Of course it is. Almost as if this is problem, reaction, solution. There should be laws to stop girls getting treated not the same as boys. Oh well, Helena Kennedy and whatnot, seen to that one. And then they say both boys and girls, men in general, need to understand because they teach their sons. It goes on and on. Don't separate girls and boys in football. It makes it look as if girls aren't as good. Well, you're not. It's a fact. When you think about sports, your mind automatically goes to boys. I think that's because of football and other games. Men's teams are more advertised than the women's teams. Well, there's an element of that, but also women's football is insufferable. Teachers need to reinforce that boys and girls are equal. Girls spoke about needing a safe and trusted adult to talk to, and confidence that they would be able to support. Oh, fucking hell. Support them if something happens. The idea of kindness came up again in this context. Should it did. Anyway, where's this? Sorry. The girls raised the need for education for boys and girls around gender and equality from the earliest age possible. Again. This is the sort of thing that the Gender Task Force was initially set up for in the first place. Hence me mentioning earlier on that one of the things that they're doing currently at present is infiltrating the free childcare sector for their gender-friendly environments. Lo and behold, now the kids are coming away, and they have a right to be listened to and taken seriously in decision making, of course, remember folks. They're coming away with the same thing now. Oh, it's almost as if they're singing from the same hymn sheet. I wonder how that could be the case. Girls felt, by educating boys... See, look at this. Girls felt that by educating boys early, they could change their attitudes and develop a more gender-equal learning environment. It's fucking remarkable. Oh, I don't know. Both boys and girls felt that there wasn't enough good quality RSHP learning. Oh, fucking wow. Oh yeah, there's not enough talk of masturbation and anal sex. The experiences girls related casually were shocking depictions of sexism and sexual violence. However, in many cases they weren't reporting these incidents or even recognised them as sexual violence because of how pervasive and common they had become. Girls aren't the same as boys, but they are both human beings. It's just a gender. It doesn't mean that they aren't human beings and they should get to be treated the same as boys to get to be treated. Well, what the fuck? Said a primary girl. That's great. Riveting stuff. I think we should stop categorising genders, no matter what it's for. Addressing stereotypes. The girls we work with spoke a lot about the pervasiveness of stereotypes about girls and boys and the damage that they can do. They talked about how limiting stereotypes could be and the impact they could have on boys and girls. Now, isn't it very convenient that the feminists for the longest time, not just limited to Scotland, but it's very, very aggressive in Scotland, they are going after the concepts of gender stereotypes from as early as possible. This is what they have effectively laid down their entire premise on. It's hanging on the notion that all of the problems within society, the root cause of it is from stereotypes and outdated views that are derivative of stereotypes, you know. It's bullshit, by the way, but, you know, this is Feminism 101. They don't listen to it, or they don't live within the confines of reality. Their ideology prohibits it. They talked about how limiting stereotypes could be and the impact they could have on boys and girls. We need to take the societal pressures of boys so they don't think they should act in a sexist way. It's remarkable in their attempts to teach kids about gender equality. Like, it just reeks of misandry. As they cry about misogyny, it's misandrist. Girls were concerned that children and young people, whether they identify as girls, boys, or non-binary or transgender, are being unfairly categorised and limited by stereotypes in the media and at home and in school. Changing these narratives around men and women was of vital importance to most of the girls we spoke with. If we don't give young children choices, they can't decide what they like. Oh my god, it's like... Girls talked a lot about the lack of positive female role models in school. Oh, could fool me, given the fact that fucking every teacher's near enough a woman. And how that impacted not only on their own confidence, but on boys' ability to see women as capable. It's like... oh my god. When boys are being mean to us, we feel small. Oh shit. What do we need to do to change things? Just be kind. Training and education again. Strong need for education and awareness raising was identified by all the girls we work with. Broadly fell into two areas: training for adults in school and workshops for boys. Girls wanted to be taught by staff who understood the issues they were facing and could respond effectively to any gender-based issue that arose. Now, naturally, in order for that to occur, they need to be trained, as it says right there. Training should be regular and mandated to be inclusive. Zero approach to gender-based bullying. Yeah, but that only goes one way, of course. Girls stated developing a range of different workshops for boys during our sessions. The outcomes of these workshops were that boys would gather an understanding of how it feels to be a girl. Well, they could just identify as a girl, surely it's that simple. Anyway, jokes aside, again, misandry at play here, where the implication here is that boys are the problem. It's just anti-boy, anti-male. It's always the same. But yet we live in a patriarchy, apparently. Could fool me. Girls were also keen to suggest that boys would benefit from workshops that help them express their feelings and address negative stereotypes that boys faced. Why don't you let the boys speak on what's best for boys? Why don't you let the fathers speak what's best for their children, or their sons even? But now we need the feminists to do that because they're oppressed. One group of girls also felt that all adults in school should be encouraged to work through the same workshops. This needed to be done with teachers and coaches. It's almost like this is like the SNP's fucking dirty fingers are all over this. But it's put through a plethora of different loopholes and groups, funneled through, and then geared or presented to the children in such a manner that they come up with the very same fucking things that the SNP intended to implement in the first place. You can see it all now. This is tyranny, effectively. Feminist tyranny in this context. Yeah. But the kids came up with it. They have a right to be listened to and taken seriously. Zero tolerance approach to gender-based bullying. Boys will be boys, never grow up. Just stop. Improved training which supports staff to identify and respond to sexism. Define it. Boys needed to be persuaded to listen. Curriculum revision and subject choice. Girls felt that the curriculum required urgent revision to support gender equality. Oh my god. RSHP lessons and PSE in secondary school needed to improve drastically and or be supplemented by gender studies classes for everyone. So now they want gender studies classes. Is this not like a feminist pipe dream? All of a sudden kids are coming up with the same things feminists have wanted for years. It's almost as if there's some sort of conspiracy at play here. I don't know though. These classes would begin in early primary and would be mandatory. It's fucking remarkable, isn't it? Girls had a series of asks around periods. Oh, fuck off. It should be the norm not to say to say the gender before they say what they're doing. Yes, they're women, but when you're talking about a famous male scientist, you wouldn't say this male scientist. But when you're talking about a woman, you say this female. Like, it's easy for you to say that because you've probably been taught that. But quite frankly, I don't hear that very often. You just say the scientist. Really, it's not really a big deal. Maybe in the 1800s that was a more common thing. Not so much now. Times have changed. It's a pity the feminists couldn't realise that. Their day is done. Or you'd think. Anyway. just going through this because I realise I've been going for so long. What's this? Teach boys from a young age that they don't need to live up to stereotypes, but of course you're not going to do this. Changing things for boys. Girls also spoke about the need to improve things for boys and men. Talked about having strong male role models for boys. Well, a strong male role model kind of flies in the face of the stereotypes that you're telling them they shouldn't be living up to. They suggested that older boys and teachers could act as role models and lead change by example by promoting gender equality. So in order to be a strong male role model, you need to promote feminism. Calling out sexist behaviour, which has been redefined, of course. Although they felt that some male teachers might need training before they were able to do this effectively. Oh my god, I don't know. I'm struggling to take this seriously now. How do we know we're making a difference? Well, the final question in this discussion with the girls was to address we know explicitly that any action taken has had positive impacts. So, they say here, any of the girls, where did I go? They took a holistic view, wanting to make sure that everyone was considered, not just girls and young women. Many of their answers centre around making sure that everyone was happy, healthy and safe. You can't have gender equality if one gender is higher than the other. Well, exactly why we've got to stop promoting feminism, because it's getting really out of control, Gaspy. This is just backy waffle propagandization. But they're off the belief that women and girls were oppressed. It's remarkable, really. You're so oppressed that you're now dictating the future of education, which is going to benefit your sex/gender over the other. There was also a strong sense that activists should be unisex. Girls wouldn't feel under pressure to sexualise themselves and act older. Boys should stop getting told to man up. Man. There are no more expectations linked to gender. Stereotypes and assumptions came up a lot in discussions. Both felt limited by societal expectations and gender equal system. Girls felt that children would be able to just be themselves, be interested in what they were interested in, show their emotions, and wear clothes they felt most comfortable in, of course, because it's society that's to blame for why girls are girls and boys are boys. There's a reason that the Sustainable Development promotes feminism, by the way. Part of the much larger picture to ensure that depopulation stays on the correct trajectory. This is going on a bit. If you are non-binary and the class is split into boys and girls, where do you go? I don't know. Challenging non-existent barriers. Sexism is so normalised, it's such a societal problem, I don't have much hope that we can fix it. No. We are basically the clean-up team for the mistakes of past generations of gender inequality. For fuck's sake, man. Where are we now? Language and tone. An unexpected finding was that disparity between boys and girls and how they understood and related to the language we were using. Male staff members felt that the boys sometimes lacked the vocabulary to be able to discuss the issues with confidence. To work with a lot of them and understanding concepts such as inequality and stereotypes and role models. In contrast, the girls we worked with were a lot more knowledgeable about these concepts and could talk about them from personal experience. It's also interesting to note that the speech patterns for the boys and the girls were quite different. Boys tend to express their ideas with more authority, even if it was to say that they didn't know. The girls, while they had more to say from a place of lived experience and authenticity, tended to qualify answers. More hesitant and were more keen to reinforce that their views were just theirs and may not be shared. Alright. Calls to action. As a result, the calls to action support friendships and relationships between boys and girls, provide regular mandated training for all adults and staff in school, review the curriculum, of course, educate children, especially boys, about gender inequality and the challenges faced by women, improve the provision of female role models, remove female as a prefix when talking about inspirational women, because that's really a thing. Teach about the consent from an early age, ensure provision of books and materials that feature strong, independent and adventurous girls, recruit more female teachers into male-dominated fields, recruit more male teachers into primary settings, fuck off. Support inclusion of girls in sports, promote and support female reproductive health, remove gender expectations, review and change the use of language in school settings, strong boy and neat girl, encourage children to try a range of activities and interests. How about just leave children alone? Leave them the fuck alone. But no, you can't do that. Build girls' confidence. mandate safe reporting, provide or produce a national media campaign promoting gender equality in education. And there we have it, folks. I am done. Oh, I see something about racism there. Let me see before I go. Interestingly, when we spoke to boys about this issue, they didn't recognise it as an issue for women. However, they did recognise it as an issue for people of colour. I think it's more of a problem with racism when they say this black person, primary boy. Oh, how bold. Anyway, on that note, yes, so just to summarise, conclude, if you will, this is the start of shit coming off the back of politicising children. So, watch this space, because I guarantee the demands being made, solutions. Well, they've got a right to be listened to and taken seriously at the end of the day. So, peace.